Hey mamas, welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Small Biz Mama. This week we continue our series on back to basics, and we're going to talk about getting your fear in check. I cannot tell you how many emails I receive, how many DMs I receive from you guys that are just paralyzed with fear. You want to start a business, you want to start BTS, you want to get clients, you want to do something that is different with your life, and you can't act because you're scared. So today we're going to talk about how to get your fear in check. My one favorite tool for really just clarifying what's going on with me. And then a little mantra that I think is going to help you out a lot. All right, so let's dive right in. So, in my life, it's funny. My mom told me over the weekend, she's like, you're one of those people, you're just dynamic. Like you just go. And I think the reason that I'm able to do that is because I have really worked on how to deal with fear when it arises. Guys, I get scared all the time. Trust me, like right now, I am planning to move like halfway across the country. We're selling a house, we're buying a house, we're uprooting everything that we have, and we're moving. And that is scary. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing to help me get through this. And just some things that I hope will help you as well. So first, I think it's really important to acknowledge that fear is normal. I think there are a lot of folks out there that believe that the people who act aren't afraid, and that's just not true. We all have fear. We all get scared. The difference is how we react to that fear, how we process that fear, kind of how we interact with it. So when you are going through your normal day, there's a 3-step process that we all go through. And here's the 3 steps. So think, feel, act. Okay. We do this all day long, right? Something happens, right? We think about that thing, a feeling is triggered, and then we act. And sometimes, and you might go, Kristen, well, I don't act. Well, not acting is an action, right? Not making a decision is an action, or deciding not to do anything is an action. Okay. So let me give you an example. You see my post for Bookkeeper Training School, right? And that's how a lot of you found me, okay? And you're like, wow, that would be really great. Or you sign up for Bookkeeper Training School, right? And you start going through the content and I say, okay, let's set up your business. And you start to think, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. I didn't sign up for this. I signed up to learn bookkeeping, and I'm going to learn my bookkeeping first. And then I'm going to set up a business. And then what happens is then the feelings start coming, right? And you're like, oh my God, you get anxious, right? And you get scared and you get afraid and all the feelings happen. And then what happens? Then you have to decide what you're going to do. And what some of you do is you close the browser and you say, I'm done. Right now, what some of you do is some of you say, okay, yes, I understand. Okay. I'm afraid. Let me sit with this for a little bit. Why am I afraid? And you start to unpack it and you start to dig. Okay. And that's where I think that journaling is so important. Okay. And you can do this process, right? You can do this process every single day in your journal. So what you can do is, and you don't need a special journal. You can use, you could use, if you want, it's funny because I have these like all over the place in my office. You could use a little legal pad. That would be okay. You can buy a little book at the dollar store. You can write it in, if you've got a planner that you use, wherever you want to do this. But every day, or you could even do this during the day, right? When it pops up, is write down what you're thinking. Okay. So if you start to feel like, if all the feels are coming, okay, and you feel like you're going to stop, I want you to pull out whatever you're using for a journal, or even if you just have a notebook beside you, or, maybe you're out and about, you grab your phone and just, open up the Word app on your phone and just go through your thoughts, right? What are you thinking? Okay, write it down. So write down that whole narrative that I just went through. Okay, so I opened up Bookkeeper Training School today, and, Kristen told me to set up my business. And I can't do that right now. I'm not ready for that right now. And just all of the thoughts that go through your head, write them all down. And then I want you to look back at that, and I want to say, okay, how does that make you feel? And write down all the feels that you're having. I'm feeling I'm not good enough. I'm feeling that I'm going to fail. I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling anxiety. I'm feeling all these things. What am I feeling? And I want you to unpack that. Maybe think about, is there a time where, maybe you started a business before and it didn't work? I remember when we got the idea for Bookkeeper Training School, and I was talking to my mentor, Julie Stoyan, and she said, this is like, it's funny because we came up with this idea and we pitched it in a room of 75 other business people. And we were like, okay, so this is the idea that we have, and this is what we want to do. And I will never forget Julie sitting in the back of the room, and she leaned back in her chair and put her arms up, and she was like, this is what you need to do. Because I remember when I was up there and I'm telling the story, I just got so excited, and I was so passionate about it because I love helping moms and I love helping businesses. And so to be able to bring those two groups together was just it was so exciting. And I knew that, there was such a shortage of bookkeepers and tax people, and, that there's so much opportunity out there if we can train people, right? And train moms to do this. So it made me so, so excited. And I remember that she was excited about it and I was excited about it. And then I'm driving in the car. I remember driving home that night, and I'm like, oh my God. And all the fear set in and all the doubt set in, and who am I to do this? And I remember being so afraid, and I almost didn't do it. I almost didn't launch the course because years before I tried to launch another course and it failed. And I know exactly why it failed. You know why it failed? Because I didn't really put it out there. Okay. I kind of so I did one of these, okay, I've got this course. And I kind of launched it on my Facebook. I'm like, hi, I've got this course. And I want to sell it. Hi. And then I didn't really talk about it again. And I didn't do a proper launch, and I didn't follow up with people, and I didn't have emails, and I didn't do all the things that I do with Bookkeeper Training School. I didn't put ads out there. I didn't try to reach out. I wasn't doing all the lives. I wasn't doing all the podcasts. I wasn't doing all the things that I know I needed to do to grow that business. And you know what? That business could have been successful, but I didn't do what I needed to do because I was scared. And I know some of you, you're getting super, super frustrated because you're not getting clients. And you're like, I've reached out to 10 people. And I'm like, okay, you need to reach out to 40 people. You need to reach out to 50 people. You just need to keep reaching out to people. You need to keep expanding out your circle. Okay. And I know you're frustrated. You're like, Kristen, I'm going to talk to 1 million people and I'm not going to get a client. Well, come back to me when you talk to 1 million people. Okay. Getting that first client. Okay. Getting that first client is hard because you're learning how to get clients. And what's going to happen is once you've gotten that first client, it's so much easier to get the second one. It's so much easier to get the third one. And then you hit a tipping point where you're not going out looking for people anymore. People are coming to find you. And when that happens, it's pretty awesome, I'll tell you. Okay. But, there's the fear and there's the anxiety and there's all the things. And I get that. I do. I've been there. The thing that was different with Bookkeeper Training School is that I acted. So I still had the thoughts, okay, this is going to fail. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Okay. I still had all the feelings. Okay. I'm afraid. I've got anxiety. I'm scared. The difference was that I took all of that and I unpacked it, right? And I realized that the reason that I was having these was because of the previous course that failed. And listen, notice how I said that. The previous course that failed. Many of you are walking around because you have a prior business, you tried another thing, and it failed. And you are walking around saying that you are a failure. You are not a failure. It failed. It failed. Okay. Now, there are things that you possibly could have done, right? Sometimes things just fail. We are so often afraid to fail because we feel like we become a failure. The difference between people who have not succeeded yet and people who have is that the people who have kept trying, they kept going. And I know it can get frustrating at times. Trust me, I get it. I've been there. I get the frustration when you're like, can I just get that client? Right? I get it. But what successful people do is they keep trying. They keep going. They say, okay, this isn't working. Let me try something else. So hopefully, as you are going through, you are going to figure out what is and is not working for you. And that includes what is and is not working in your mindset, right? Because a lot of times when we start to get the feels and we start to get the thoughts, that frustration comes out in our marketing. That frustration comes out in our communications. And I see it because I get the desperate people, right, who are trying to grow their businesses and they're trying to figure out what they're supposed to do. And they're at that point where it's like, if I don't get a client this week, then the whole thing is done and I'm going to give up. I have those people who reach out to me on a regular basis for their businesses, right? Trying to get me to be that client. And you can tell, it's like you can read the desperation in their posts. I don't want that to be you. So I want you to start journaling. I want you every day to start thinking about, okay, what was I thinking today? How did that make me feel? Okay, let me think about this. Why am I feeling this way? And when you are stuck, okay, when you start to get frustrated, when the fear comes, I want you to tell yourself, I may not know what to do, but I'm going to figure it out. And if you are in Bookkeeper Training School and you have access to the Empower Bookkeeper Network, you've got a whole community of people who can help you figure it out. Use that community. Take advantage of it. And if you're not in Bookkeeper Training School, but you're interested in joining, you can go to bookkeepertrainingschool.com and you can view our free training on how to get started. All right, mamas, I hope that you have a phenomenal day. And I'd love to hear from you on how you are starting to act through your fear. You can join us in the Small Biz Mama community. You can comment on the show notes at smallbizmama.com, or you can just, DM me on social, either through our page or on Instagram. All right, mamas, I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other.
Thank you for listening to Small Biz Mama with Kristen Ingram. If you'd like to learn how to create more margin in your life, please visit us at smallbizmama.com. That's smallbizmama.com.